Welcome to Men Talk. I'm your host, Robert Kalua. Today, I'll be chatting with Chichi, the therapist. We simply want to look at effects of, when one is being bullied. Remember, the last time I had an interview with one of the producers of the movie School Days, where they are portraying, different situations where students are being bullied or students are bullying each other. Now, I promised my viewers to say we'll have a therapist in the house, and then we'll talk about the effects. You need a profession to know about these things. As usual, Chichi, welcome to Men Talk.
Thank you.
Now, we tackled the issue to do with, it was a general discussion with Kendo, one of the School Days producers.
Yeah.
Because the movie got a hype. That just tells you to say, it really touched a lot of lives because people were referring to issues they've been, situations where they've been affected by bullying, whether in schools, primary or secondary school, even in universities.
Yeah.
Others are being bullied.
True.
So we want to talk about the effects today, and the first thing that I want us to talk about is. Do you think we still have such situations going on, or do we see the effects of bullying these days, or else because of technology or other things, things are being swept under the rug?
Well, I feel like bullying is felt more on an individual level.
On an individual level?
Yes.
And not...
well, as in you, as an individual, you're the one who knows the extent to which that bullying has affected you as a person. So because of that, people have sort of like normalized it in a way, because now they're like, oh no, we do that, get away with it, go through life. And some have successfully gone through life and they haven't been affected in the long run. But because the ones that have been affected in the long run, most of them don't talk about it. And also we don't bring it in the open to say, oh, because of ABC, this is how now I'm being affected by it. That's why people think it's not something that has like long effects in the long run. But it does affect a lot of people.
And it still has effects at the moment.
Yes, it does. And some will tell you, and they can actually point out, say, this is the point where everything went wrong. I have men now who tell you and say, you know what, because of the bullying that I went through, and sometimes it's even the bullying they went through in primary school, not even in secondary school, and they're telling you, I've never really picked up, like I have low self-esteem. I have tried to fight it. I've tried to to have my confidence, but sometimes it's like people told me I was this. People bullied me for being fat like other people. I'm like, oh, I'm big. So every time I look at myself, I remember those words. Every time I look at myself, I feel like I'm not good enough. And so we have a lot of people who have still been affected even up to now.
I thought bullying was just for boys. Are girls bullied as well?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Oh really?
A lot.
In boarding schools or
Yes.
workplaces and
Actually, I used to think it only happened in girls' secondary schools.
Oh, really? I thought it was a man's situation where a man is just supposed to go through that in primary school or secondary school.
No, it's actually everywhere. And you find out that these things will still happen even in kindergarten. Other kids are bullying other kids. And if you don't address it at that particular point, and the bullies still remain the bullies even as they are growing up. Sometimes some will change, but some will like, oh, I get away with it. So they continue to bully other people. And for some, because they're used to being bullied, even as they grow, they don't know how to stand up for themselves. So they're still being bullied, even in the workplace. Some people even bully you in the workplace. It still happens. But if you look at them, it's like, it started way back. No one can just wake up one morning and become a bully. No.
Are these bullies made, or one is born a bully?
No one is born a bully.
How do you just start bullying your friends like that?
There's so many reasons. There are so many factors that contribute to someone becoming a bully. Sometimes it's just your lack of the affection that you would have been getting at home. So you're like, okay, so how do I fill that gap? So some bullies, actually the bullies also need help. We're not just talking about the ones that are being bullied here. The bullies actually need more help as well, because this is a cry for help as well sometimes. It's like they're telling you that they need help by doing that, because sometimes they are noticing at home they may be bullied as well. That's the other thing. If you're being bullied at home, you're looking for a subject So you're looking for someone, an object, where you would also feel like like superior in a way. You feel like you're in control. So you find other kids and you start to bully them. Or you find other students, you start to bully them. For some, it's, well, just they're getting back at maybe their status in a way. Some it's because of their status. Maybe they're already famous in the school, and so they want to keep their status. And how do they do that? They're still, maybe subconsciously, but looking for ways where they can still keep their stand and their position so they can be in control. And for others, because they're not seen, so they just want to get that attention, and by doing that. So it's so many factors really that can contribute to someone becoming a bully. But no one, I don't think anyone is ever born a bully, no.
Well, I feel like teachers have tolerated bullies for a long time. I feel like our schools in general,
Yes.
don't really protect people that are students that are being bullied. I think I've ever experienced a situation where, a student is being bullied. Instead of the teachers coming in to rescue that students, they come to you and they say, you're sleepy, something like that.
Yeah.
You are not, you're not carrying yourself as a man, because you cannot be coming to us and then explaining your stories that you've been bullied, when it's just, it's the order of the day. So I feel like some people were made to understand that bullying is a way of leading your life at a boarding school, or at a certain grouping. So much that they actually get stuck into that life, into that situation, and then when they grow up, they're like, have you interacted with grown-ups, especially men, that were bullied whether in primary school or secondary school? How do they get affected, in the everyday to day lives moving forward? These are people that are married, they've got kids.
And before I even get there, I just wanted to comment on something you just raised, to say a lot of grown-ups sort of like normalize bullying. Like they want to take it as if something that has to happen to you in order for you like to gain resilience in a way. Like not just the teachers. You find out that we have other parents or other guardians, or if a child comes and says, oh, this is what happened in my school. Oh, no, it means you're just sleeping at school. Go and hit them back. That's not how you help a child that's being bullied. Or sometimes like, oh yeah, you need to go through that. We also went through it. You know how when you get into a secondary school or a high school, and then the ones that are like senior, they're bullying you. And then they're like, oh yeah, that's how we've all been there. But the one thing that people forget is, these are different types of people. These are individuals are different. There are so many factors that differentiate us. Someone can handle that and still be okay and still get through life and get back and just be strong about it. There are others, because of what they're already facing, what they've already been through, they're not emotionally strong. They're not psychologically strong to handle that. And these are the ones that in the long run you start to notice the effects. So yeah, once again, there are other ways you can help a child to be strong, but they don't have to go through bullying. Now, back to your question. There are a lot of them. We have a lot of adults who have gone through life being bullied. And so because of that, we have men who now want to show or to gain a source of control now that they're grown up, and now they're doing it in a wrong way. So they're expressing that, or they want to find maybe sort of like solace, but in the wrong place, like in the wrong places. So these are men who are now hitting their wives, for example. That's just one of the consequences. So now by them doing that, they're saying, at least someone has to like bow. At least someone has to submit to me. At least I get to,
Yeah.
And you find out it's because they found another person who is now like less powerful, so they can show their strength. And for some, it's not really that. I've talked about, I talked about some people who are like now, their self-esteem is very low. No matter how much you try to talk to them, you find out they still feel like, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think, they feel like the whole world is looking down on them. Why? Because when they were young, there were other boys who made them believe they were worthless, they were not good enough. And if you were to look back, you find out sometimes they were being bullied for being smart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some of these were being bullied for coming from a rich family. I'm not rich, my parents are rich. I didn't decide to be, I didn't decide to be born in a rich family. But why are you bullying me? What wrong did I do?
They feel like, oh, you you've got it all.
Yeah.
You know?
So why?
We come from the ghetto.
Why do you have this? Why
what-
do you? So honestly, it's very traumatizing for most people, and most people. So there we have other people who are like, others are even suicidal now because they can't get rid of those voices. Those voices still come, like they still have. Yeah, and some will tell you, I hear these voices all the time. I'm good for nothing. It's better I just kill myself. You know. Sometimes there's suicidal ideation or suicidal thoughts are not just the thoughts where you're now contemplating on killing yourself, and then you decide, oh, why should I kill myself? Oh, for some, it's the voices. They don't want to do that. They don't have a reason now for doing that, but then that voice becomes louder and louder. So that's the other thing. For others, it's the anxiety. So we have others who develop anxiety, and yet sometimes they can't show you, but they just have that fear in them. They can't face anyone, whoever, let's say even their bosses, who are like, for some reason, maybe they are abusing them in a way or something, but they can't speak out. They can't stand up for themselves. They just feel like, well, I just need to take it in. I just need to take it in, because that's what they've been told. So there are so many effects that come after, like, so many years of bullying. Like, even if you were bullied a long time ago, but these things remain with people. The 5 minutes of you bullying someone can impact their life, the rest of their life, because of the words that you said.
I feel like most of the schools don't really care about someone being bullied. You know, I was at a boarding school where being bullied, you were not allowed, or just the fear of it. You couldn't go to report to anyone. Not even the head boy, not even to your relative. Even if they're in Form 4 and you're in Form 1, you couldn't go and actually report. Because even the teachers would make you feel that, you know what, why are you being a baby?
Exactly.
You know, get over it or something.
Yeah.
And not knowing that people are being affected to the point where people are grown-ups, they're fathers now, but are still being affected.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a way on how someone who's been bullied so much can come back from, just having those thoughts and those voices ringing in their head or anything, apart from therapy? What else?
Okay, so apart from therapy, because the thing is, if you're someone who's going through bullying, and you've been affected by it, and these are emotions, thoughts that you've been keeping for a very long time, it also means you need to find a time where you start to confront these thoughts, these images, these feelings, because these are feelings that have been piled up and they have been hidden somewhere in there. That's why they still have a control and they still have a power to say something now, years after that bullying. So first of all, you need to accept that there's nothing you can do in terms of the controlling, going back and changing the situation. Because now most people are stuck in a place where they're like, they still want to go back and change something. They still want, sometimes some of them actually blame themselves for what happened. So even, because they're still trying to find someone to blame, or someone, they just want to find a reason for why it happened like that, what I would have done, and all those things. So the first thing is to accept that particular thing happened, and you had no control at that particular moment. You were young, you were helpless, and no one blames you for it, no matter what you did, but no one has a right to sort of like bully you for what you did, or where you belonged, or how you looked. It wasn't your fault. So people need to start, first of all, accepting that it happened, accepting that they didn't have control then, but they can have control now. They have to learn to also just forgive themselves, because some people still feel like they are the ones that were in the wrong, or maybe if only I had done this. But let me tell you, no matter what you do to a bully, if they are a bully, they will bully you for anything. They'll bully you for not doing anything. They'll bully you for doing something. They'll bully you for responding. They'll bully you for not responding. So there's really nothing that you could have done. Accept it and look at the things you can control now. Because as a person, the more you focus on the things that you can't control, you actually feel more frustrated. People go into depression, actually, because they keep going back to an event.
Fighting something they can't control.
They're still going back to it. They go back to the day, how it happened and everything. So the more you go back there, you get stuck, because now there's no solutions. There's no help that's coming. It's still the same situation. So that's why people have to start to confront. Sometimes people use avoidance. Some people actually use avoidance where they're like, I'd rather not think about it again. Or I'd rather, but it's there. So if you don't confront it, it's still going to be there. And it's like now, this is like a monster in your closet where every time something happens that triggers you, it reminds you of that particular person. Or someone says a word that was similar to what that particular person, it will affect you. So also learn to accept that it happened, to let go of that past. Because the more you don't let go, or the more you don't forgive even the person who bullied you, it's like you're still giving them control now. They're still controlling you 20 years later, even without them knowing. They were actually maybe 10 or 15 years old. Now they're 20, they've forgotten about everything they did. But you're still remembering. You've still given them power to control everything that happens. So also people forgiving them about what they did, for what they did. And then maybe just to accept, to say, okay, now, how do I move from now? So how do I make sure that I focus on the things that I can't control? Okay, right now I can't control what happened. What can I control? So you look at yourself, you say, okay, I'm being affected in a way that I don't have. So my self-esteem is like very low. I don't have confidence. What can I do to boost my self-esteem? You know, there are some trainings that people take, like online. Read books. You can read books to see how you can now boost your confidence. You can see how you can come out of certain situations. It's like now you've stopped looking at the past and everything it did, but now you're looking at, okay, what do I do? At least this is in my control. So the more you focus on what you're in control of, the more now you gain back your control, you gain back your self-esteem. I don't know if you remember last time I talked about mental health needs for children.
Yes, yes.
So the one thing that I didn't say maybe last time is those actually are the mental health needs we have as well as human beings, even as grown-ups.
As grown-ups.
You need all of those things I mentioned. Okay. You need the control. Once as a person you lack control, you don't have control, you feel frustrated. Imagine going to work every day and you find out you had this office, you had everything figured out, given. You knew exactly what to do that day. Every day you know what to do. But every day or every week you should find out, oh, we've moved you to the HR office. Now you'll be doing HR work. And then next week you don't even know where you go. And then they'll move you to say, oh, now you're in the marketing team. So imagine how you feel. You'll be so frustrated because no one like consults you to ask you if you really want to do that or why you can't do it. So if you're not in control of something, you become so frustrated, and that's when people sometimes go into depression. So look at all these things. What are the things that I did not have, and now I'm suffering for that, and that I can now start to work on having? Because these are emotional needs. These are mental health needs that you can have. If you didn't have a sense of affection, for example, that time you felt like everyone hated you, you felt like you were not seen, build friendships, build connections with people that actually value you. People that are going to look at you and they're going to say, oh, you're good at this. I like how you do this. That will help you boost yourself. So in other words, you now start to take things in your hands to say, well, I didn't have control of everything that happened up to this point, but at least now I can start to decide what happens from here. That's how you take charge and you start to fix some of these things. And also talk to people. If it's not a therapist, even if it's your partner or it's your pastor or whoever you're comfortable with, just go back and tell them what happened, because that helps you to process those unprocessed emotions as well. Yeah, so those are some of the things you can do.
Well, someone would say, you make it sound so easy that, one has to do all these things in order for them to come out and just be helped.
Yeah.
But we are looking at a situation where, how if somebody, this is how they feel, they were bullied in secondary school or in primary school, and then, to them, that's who they are, according to what the bullies were telling them or how they were being bullied for whatever reason. What can we do, to make sure that those people come out? Because it's not easy. I'm speaking as a man. I have good experience on that. So for a man to come out and say, you know what, imagine as big as I am, and then I'm telling a 14-year-old that I still have effects of being bullied in primary school, they'll start laughing, right?
Yeah.
So those are the things that, those are some of the effects that, prompt men not to come out. But what should we do in a society where, there are thousands of people, we've got bullies in there, we've got all types of people in there. What should we do as a society, as a people in this country, to make sure that these people come out? Because these effects are coming out at the wrong time. Someone is a CEO of some company, but they get affected along the way because in their everyday to day work they get involved into situations that remind them of the way they were being bullied.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not as easy as one might put it. What can prompt somebody to come out?
Okay, so I'm sure you've heard how in the recent year or two, we've now started coming out and talk about mental health, right? Before that, there was nothing like that.
There was nothing.
You know, and everyone, now, I don't know whether it's like post-COVID or was before that, but now it's like people have started to notice to say, actually, people do have mental health that they need to take care of. Oh, these things do affect our mental health. So the first thing that we've been preaching, actually, as mental health professionals, is to prioritize mental health. By prioritizing mental health, these are some of the things what we mean. There's no way you can say, from where we're coming from, you can have a whole grown-up man say, you know what, I fell to sleep because of what my mom did to me when I was 5 years old. For us, we'll laugh about it.
Oh, laugh about it.
We'll laugh about it, and we're like, how? I mean, you know, and we think they're just weak. And these are some of the, because of the culture that we are coming, I don't know, maybe some things are changing, but culturally, you know, we still look at men and we want men to be strong, we want them to be, they're the ones not to run. So everyone else can run when we see a snake, but the man has to stand up.
The man has to be there.
You understand?
Face that venom.
They have to. So because we have those beliefs where we feel like a man doesn't cry, a man doesn't be... Well, I've been affected by what is that? I also
have to cry like in cigar for these things to come out.
Yeah. So when we say prioritize mental health, it's not like just coming here and say, oh, mental health this, or depression this, or anxiety this. There's more to mental health as like the normal type way of living, like our everyday living, where we're like, okay, can we normalize having spaces in the workplaces, in our families, even in the church, wherever it is, to recognize the place of mental health, to say that, okay, there are certain issues that affect us as humans, beginning from the young age, because even a child is being affected, their mental health can be affected, a teenager can have their mental health being affected, an adult can have, and men can have their mental. So just knowing that, okay, there are certain issues that affect us as humans that we cannot, for now, we're not free enough to talk about, but people have them. Believe you me, you go into a workplace, everyone is like strong, everyone feels like they know what they're doing and everything. And you have a training in that particular place. So you're like, okay, so I'll go there as a consultant. I'll have my training there. At the end of the training, I am telling you, I have more men coming and tell me, you know what you just mentioned. I go through that every day.
You've done these trainings before?
I do those trainings in workplaces where I'm now just want to make people be aware to say, in the workplace, what are some of the things that affect employees' mental health? I will talk about certain things and people are like, oh, we didn't know that. We didn't know that maybe just like not appreciating someone can actually be, you know, affecting them. We didn't know that saying these things to people can. So people get to be aware to say, oh, so even in the workplace, I'm responsible for promoting your mental health because you're a colleague. I need to be careful in how I handle you when you're going through stuff at home. Do I take time? Like I hear that at home, let's say, something, you've lost someone, for example, God forbid. But do I take time to understand that when a person goes through that, they're hurting, they're being affected, they can't work the same way? So am I taking my time and just checking up on you and say, oh, are you okay? I know I heard this. Yes, it's been 2 weeks, but how are you holding up? Do you know that for that particular person who's actually going through it, it will mean a lot to them? And for them to just open up and tell you, oh, this is actually what's happening to me. I'm not sleeping. You know, that particular person was doing everything at home, but now I have kids. I don't know how to take care of them. I have to. And the more they're talking about, the more they start to feel better and they feel that someone cares, some people care. Even the flexibility of the bosses in certain situations will show you that they care about their mental health. So just making people open up, be free enough to express themselves when they feel like something doesn't serve them in that particular moment because of what they've been through or what they're going. Having those talks when we have meetings at work. Do we have a place where we're just checking on everyone? Are we okay? Are we good? There's this that has happened. There's this policy that's been introduced.
Or we only have meetings when there are issues.
You see, and we're pretending everyone is good. Some people are not good, but they're smiling. But we will never know because you don't really provide that space where you make them feel safe emotionally. That's one of the other mental health needs that everyone has is emotional security. You want to feel safe enough to express yourself to someone to say, you know what, actually I'm not okay. my boss keeps on shouting at me even when I haven't done anything. My boss is not understanding. Even if he doesn't even give me time to explain. Do you know, you think it's a workplace, this is what we do. When those people go home, do you know what they do during the night? I remember one particular person who approached me and said, do you know what? When I was just starting as an intern, I used to have a boss. That woman would shout every time. When I'm passing by, when I get to work, I would find ways of going around her.
Avoiding her.
She says, even up to now, the moment I hear a voice that's similar to that, and this is a whole man, every time I hear a voice that's similar to that.
He still gets affected?
Yeah. He said, what can I do?
Oh,
I need help. So we think these things are like, oh, some people call them rich people problems. Some people say they're white people problems. Just because you're not being affected, don't think and assume that everyone
well,
is.
And others say that while they're being affected, but they don't know that they are being affected by different situations. And then I think one of the issues that came out was, since you've actually spoken about workplaces, I think it's one of the areas where we don't pay attention.
Exactly.
You know, people have cried on situations that the way other bosses would actually treat someone if they did something wrong. You know, there'll be that silent.
Yes.
There'll be that silent treatment, not knowing that somebody's mental health is being damaged. Now, moving forward, these trainings, what do you talk about? Do you just say, well, I'm here. Let's talk about how you cannot mess or how you can take care of your mental health. What do you talk about in these trainings that is important? That you never know. I might be interested to come in and attend one day when you're having one. Okay,
so first of all, in as much as I in my experience and in my expertise, I already know what happens, what type of issues affect people in the workplace. I also take time and just meet the team, like the senior management or whoever has invited me. I sit down with them first. I want to understand what's unique to them. Already facing, because believe you me, people already know what issues they're facing, mental health issues they're facing in their organizations. So they already know, and they already know why they're inviting you. So first of all, I want to understand what's on the ground. So once I do that assessment, I'm able to see, okay, so with what I know and how these issues that they have, this is how I'll go about in terms of addressing those issues. So I'll start addressing their issues, and now I'll also bring in, according to my expertise, what can be done in order for you to promote each other's mental health as colleagues. What can the management do in order to make sure that the colleagues, the subordinates are also being taken? What type of policies can be introduced in a workplace that will take care of also the mental health of the people? You can't make them work. Well, they have a life. They need space to breathe. They need all those things. And also I have to make sure what type of structures in the workplace can make people be able to have their mental health being promoted. So it's all of that.
Chichi, thank you so much for elaborating more on effects of one being bullied. I know that those trainings are really important. I was also interested on the trainings very much because I can see that in most working places, I think people are not. We don't really have knowledge on how we can protect our mental health and also how we can just protect somebody's mental health. But now I know that those that we're watching have gotten one or two things, and I would like to thank you for coming once again into Mentalk, and thank you so much, and we thank House of Therapy for making you available.
Thank you so much.
All right, that was Chichi, the therapist. We were just rounding up on the effects of bullying, the effects of being bullied. She's elaborated quite a lot, and I hope that we've taken one or two lessons on these parents. Let's make sure we're paying much attention to our children when they're complaining about being bullied. Chichi has said there are men, grown-up men, that were bullied in primary school, in their primary school days, some in their secondary school days. But these are now married people responsible in the society who are still getting the effects of being